Okay. Welcome to the brand new Sleevie G Show. I am the host with the most, Gomez. And I am so proud to pronounce who's coming in. My special guest. He's a very famous or infamous in that note, as you hear him in the background, or as you see him on Zoom with me right now. It is, we're going to say this one time today, coming back soon. Welcome to Playlist Wars. I'm your host. I'm part of the dynamic duo. Let me sure you say that. Gomez with my co-host, Brian Colburn. Brian, what is going on, man?
What is up? I am so honored to be the first Sleevie G guest. I apologize for letting down all of your faithful fans who actually thought it was somebody worth listening to, but here we are.
Listen, I think it's awesome because it's just a tribute to us on what we do. You know, everyone on Playlist Wars, or the playlisters, I should really say that. They loved us. They still do. They're supporting us. Now, here it is. We're on two different paths because our scheduling is off.
To break the fourth wall, we are recording this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. There is no guest on this planet that'd be like, oh, that's a perfect time to podcast. Because I'll be honest, if I yawn at any point during this recording, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's our discussion. I stayed up. I didn't go to sleep till a little after 2 a.m. after the Giants unfortunately laid a goose egg in the playoffs and lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm a little tired this morning and a little sad this morning because it was a unbelievable run. I truly thought the Giants were going to go 6-11 this year. Everything past that was beyond my wildest expectations, let alone adding in a playoff berth and the first playoff victory in over a decade. Hands down, Brian Daboll, Coach of the Year. In my heart, at least. Whether he gets it on paper through the NFL remains to be seen, but I'm proud of this team. They got a lot of work to do in the offseason, but the core is there and we're building for the future, and I'm excited about it. I hate saying this, but hat tip to the Eagles, and I really hope you lose to either San Francisco or Dallas next week.
I did write last night. You know, my show is just not also podcasting with my friends and all the sleevers, as I'm going to call them.
So if we wear sleeves, we're sleevers, and you're
and I'm the
the sleeveless
sleevey,
one. Okay,
I'm the sleeveless one. So it's a new niche. I'm learning here.
Yeah.
I wrote about. I am doing blogging too on my website on Sleevie G podcasts. Yes, I messed up and I put the extra S by accident. So it's sleeviegpodcasts.com. I did blog about when the Giants, I gave them my final review of the year when the season ended. I made a bold prediction that we were going to beat the Vikings 31-27. And let me tell you, if anybody was a betting man, took my score to win 31-24, I was off by 3 points.
Yeah.
I blogged about the Eagles a little bit last night saying, hey, Jalen Hurts came out to play. They had some key injuries on the Eagles team, but they really showed why they're the number one seed. And my hat does go off to them. Didn't like the coach too much because he kept on doing some stupid facial thing.
Yeah, that's something that, look, everyone always asks as a Giants fan, who do you hate more, Dallas or Eagles? And it's usually been pretty even for me. But back when Victor Cruz got injured in the game, one of the Philadelphia beat reporters tweeted out salsa to that. He actually celebrated a player's injury.
Right.
And to me, someone who played the game, you played the game, no matter how much I dislike a franchise, I want to make this very clear. I do not like the Eagles as a franchise, and I do not like the Cowboys as a franchise. However, anyone who plays the game is off limits. When Dak Prescott got hurt and was carted off the field, I actually stood up out of concern watching the game. I don't like the Cowboys. I want them to lose, but I want them to lose putting up their strongest battle.
Yes.
I don't want a team to lose because somebody got hurt. I don't want to see players get injured. I want to see a team get defeated properly the way football is supposed to be played. And after that beat reporter tweeted that, all the Philadelphia Eagles fans started retweeting it and laughing. And to me, that really put a bad taste in my mouth. And it's been almost over a decade.
It's over a
And I
decade now.
always go back to that because to me, that is not sportsmanship. And that is not what the city of brotherly love should be representing. It should be about putting a positive look. These players are out there, I don't want to say risking their lives, but as we saw with the situation in Buffalo, I mean, which is a very fluke incident, people can get injured on like just like that. You snap an ACL, you get a hit like Hamlin.
Oh,
These
yeah.
things happen. It's a dangerous, dangerous sport. I
Oh,
never want to see anybody get injured, let alone celebration of injuries. That just hit me on my core of something I'm not. And for the Eagles fans that are out there that agree with what I'm saying and actually enjoy the healthy competition between franchises, my hat tip to you. But to anybody that's out there celebrating injuries and wishing people to get hurt, that's just not what this game's about. And honestly, those people that do that probably never played the sport before.
that's the thing. That's the difference between fans and people who play the sports. And you know what? I might have to bring you back one day for just that conversation because Brian, you and I know we are fans, but we also played the sport. You had the opportunity to go play in college. I unfortunately did not. I unfortunately got hurt and I never got that opportunity, but I had the opportunity to coach. And I'll tell you the difference between being a coach and a player is day and night. And some people don't realize what it takes to set up a system of a football team and a program. Doesn't matter if you're coaching Pee Wee, high school, college, or NFL, or USFL, or now the XFL. You know what I mean? It's now there's a lot of things that people don't realize, and that's the difference between fans who talk too much and the people like us who know the game. And my respect goes out to the Buffalo players in that game, and I believe it was Buffalo and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I was really upset with Goodell because he was all about the money. He was telling the team to get on with the game. No,
those players were not going to finish that game. If they did, more people would have got hurt because when you play a game without the full mental capacity to know where you're going and who you need to hit, mistakes happen, people get hurt. And regardless of what you see when the trade wires come down and people get cut and go to different teams, look at Odell Beckham Jr. Tweeting for Saquon through the playoffs as if they were still on the same team together. There's a kinship that's tighter than family that forms with people that go out on the football field together. It's a battle. It's obviously in no way, shape, or form like we call it on the football field and coaches call it you're going to battle, you're going to war. Obviously, it's nothing like actual battle and actual war. I want to make that very clear. But when you play in a physical competitive sport where people can get hurt, it's a bond and a kinship that is kind of like no other. And these players truly care about each other. And if Odell ends up on Dallas next year, you could bet before the game, him and Saquon are talking on the sideline. There's no, like, they don't start hating each other because all of a sudden somebody's playing for a different team. Once you've gone to battle and played games with somebody, you don't lose that bond. And that's why players trade jerseys after the game. And I think the fans sometimes miss that aspect of the game. They get so tied into hating the other team. I don't know if I would ever go to a game in Philly or in Dallas wearing a Giants jersey because I'm the kind of person that if I'm at a Giants game and someone's sitting right next to me, here's an example. I took my wife and kids to a preseason game against Cincinnati. Burrow wasn't playing, but it was still a fun chance to bring the girls to the stadium, let them get some ice cream, let them see the NFL experience and not have to spend over $1,000 to do it.
Exactly.
Preseason games. I also I'll throw out a shout out to Justin Pennick at Talking Giants, who was kind enough to throw a ticket my way. And then the other three I picked up, it's preseason. People are going like, I'll pay you $10 to take this ticket off my, like, it was, people were giving them away essentially.
Mhm.
And the stadium wasn't nearly packed, but here I am sitting directly next to a family of Bengals fans. Obviously it's preseason, but they would, cheer when their team would get a first down. But the whole game we're talking about, so what do you expect to see this season? What are you expecting out of
Right.
Burrow? What are you expecting out of the Giants? Man, that was a great play by, whoever it is out there. And we were just talking about our love of the game and our love
Mhm.
of the teams. And it was a healthy, at the end of the game, we just kind of fist bumped and said, good luck this season. It was a pleasure talking with you tonight. Sportsmanship.
Yes, and to me right there, that seems like a guy who actually played the game,
Maybe, maybe not, but
but he understood it.
having that heightened sense to be able, I've seen so many times when my wife and I went to, at the time, it was during the 2007 season, because I'm still hurting from the Eagles loss. It was the time when OCU Manura got 12 sacks against
Yes.
the Eagles on a Sunday night game. It was our anniversary. My wife actually sprained her ankle
Oh my god, I remember this.
before we went into the game. So she's like limping around like trying, and we didn't realize it was sprained. She just thought she kind of like jammed it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're sitting there, and the Mets and the Phillies had played that afternoon, and the Mets had won. Before the end of the first quarter, just in our 300 section at MetLife, there were at least 10 fights. I don't even think it was MetLife back then. It might have still been Giant Stadium.
If it was
Regardless,
no, it
2007, it was still the Giant Stadium.
no, it wasn't.
No?
No. I think that was now. Now you got me wondering. Now,
Okay, you look that up.
now,
I'll
hey,
just
listen. Here's a good thing with the new Sleevie G Show. I have now 2 computers here.
All
So-
right, you do that. And I'm just going to say, I saw more fistfights breaking out between fans. And I'm sitting there going, like, why would you spend $100 and something on a ticket, $12, $15 a beer, $8, $10 for a hot dog, only to sit in your seat and start fighting and get thrown out a second later? Healthy trash talk between people when it's fun and good natured is fine.
Mhm.
But when fans take it to the level of fist fighting, there's kids in the crowd. There's young children with their family. A
Yeah.
lot of families go to games as a bonding experience with family. And let me tell you, if I brought my girls to a game and people in front of me were fighting
Mhm.
and one of them got hurt, that's just like, what do you like? Come
I
on,
know.
man.
So I agree with that. So actually, Brian, just so we know, the stadium did open in 2010.
Okay, so this was still Giant Stadium. Look,
No, actually, MetLife was in 2010.
right, and I'm talking about the
Oh,
Giants
you're talking the old
2007
seventh
season.
Yes, I was in the old Giant Stadium, correct?
Yes.
Because I was lucky enough when I worked at SW, I actually had lovely opportunities to go to the new stadium for vendor shows. Yeah, and got lucky to see a lot of that stuff. So, but I
Yeah,
apologize.
that honestly, kind of the point I'm trying to make is this is why I'm not a sports podcaster, but regardless, I don't know my sports details like I do music. However, when you go to a game, just kind of look at your surroundings. There's kids there.
Oh yeah,
There's older people that have been going to these games. Like I chatted with a guy once who's been to every Giants game except for once, I think when he got married, and he was an older guy in his 70s, and he was almost kind of mad that his marriage was around. But regardless, it was like you hear these stories and these people go, and it's a bonding experience between fathers and kids and families and husbands and wives and just, I get that there's a rivalry, but there's a way to have a rivalry between two teams where you don't have to, like, you go on Twitter and you go on Facebook, and some of the fans are so toxic,
yes, they are.
and it's just, come on,
Listen,
enjoy the game.
exactly.
Stop rooting for people to get injured. Stop being that kind of a fan, because I tell you right now, those players at the end of the game are not trying to hurt each other. They're trying to play the game hard. They don't want to play soft. They want to win. They want to win decisively.
Oh yeah.
But let me tell you, there was not one player on that Cincinnati Buffalo field that was sitting there happy about the situation that happened to him, because people don't do that. That's not a normal human instinct.
No, and I'm gonna commend those 2 coaches and the 8 captains from the 4 captains of each team to say, forget this, we're done. And
Good.
so good for them for standing up to the NFL. So that's one thing. Usually with the new show, we're gonna always concentrate on one topic, and that's what we're doing. Which we're a little upset with the Giants game, so we went off a little off kilter. But that's you and me though. But the reason we're actually here is we're celebrating. We celebrated Playlist Wars, which we are going to be coming back. Hopefully by the summer, we're hoping.
That's the goal.
That is our goal, guys. We're still there. We're here,
Yeah.
guys.
Look, we got a lot of emails and DMs saying like, "Are you and Gomez okay?" Let me state for the record, we are fine. We still text pretty much every day. Here's the real deal. I wish I could say that there was some really good beef that we could spin for PR purposes, that we hate each other all of a sudden, and now we're doing these competing shows to like, no. Here's what's going on. My kids are teenager and 10. Your kids are
6 and 2.
Yes. They are on completely different schedules. When you're doing bath time, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. When you're putting your kids to bed, I'm doing homework. We both have full-time jobs. We're not sitting down at 10 o'clock at night to record a podcast as much as we love the show. However, in the summertime, when there's not 2 different basketball teams happening and practices for this and cross country and homework, the schedules open up a lot.
Oh yeah.
And the hope is over the summer, we can record a bank of Playlist War shows and start putting them out starting in the fall, probably on a monthly basis. It'll never, unfortunately, go back to the weekly thing. It was just way too much and the timing just wasn't working out, but it's not dead. And our goal is to keep putting out episodes, maybe monthly, and make it a little bit more of a kind of a continuous ongoing show that is sort of the Avengers of our Playlist Wars extended universe, which is where these 2 new shows are stemming off from.
So for people don't realize, I asked Brian back in November, what do you think if it's cool? Because I know you've been busy with work and everything, and you had a huge project that's coming up this year. So I know you've been working hard
outside of podcasting.
Outside of podcasting. So I know it's been very busy, and this is why I asked, hey, what do you think if I did my own little thing for now? Until we get back, because to be honest with you, the bug caught me when we did Playlist Wars.
Of course.
The bug caught me when you got me on Tune Styles, actually, when we talked then.
Yes.
And then it took a knee injury to get Playlist working. And, and that was a great thing. And that's what I love. And guys, you can still check out our past episodes. Go to playlistwarspodcast.com. We're still up. We're up and running still. The shows are there. There's some comedic shows in there too. You're gonna love them. I mean, we finally got the Grand Theft Auto show. That's all I cared about. But and now that's what comes to now, Brian. As I went to the Sleevie G show for me, now we're introducing you with the new show, My Weekly Mixtape. Now, what's going on there? I know you just did your first recording, and the show sounded great. And we had our buddy Jason Whistle from Not That Bad podcast with your first episode.
Yeah, we did opening guitar riffs. My Weekly Mixtape is a show that I am recording when Gomez is doing bath time. That's
pretty much, it's true, or dinner. It's true.
Yes. Joking aside, My Weekly Mixtape is similar in the heart of what Playlist Wars is, which is a celebration of music, but it's different in the fact that Playlist Wars is a fun, healthy, competitive show. We preach on Playlist Wars that none of our answers are right and wrong. It's all kind of where people's opinions lie, because that's what music is. It's very subjective. Mm-hmm. And what My Weekly Mixtape does differently than Playlist Wars is, instead of going head to head, I start to do what I did as a kid. When my friends would come over, long before I met you in high school, dude.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in 3rd, 4th grade, my buddies and I would get together and we'd play Nintendo, and I would stick a cassette in and we would grab different albums. They would bring their box of cassettes over and we would dub cassettes and make mixtapes, every other song. You pick a song, I pick a song, you pick a song. And then we would sit there and break out either the Atari 2600 and play Pitfall 2 until 3 in the morning, or then when we got the Nintendo, it became Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3 and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Pro Wrestling, Blades of Steel, Double Dribble. and we would just play video games and listen to these mixtapes.
Yeah.
And it took real time. We would sit there for 2 hours recording these mixtapes in real time so that we could play video games and listen to them later. And I wanted to go back and kind of capture that feeling of collaboration between two friends coming together on a musical level and kind of trying to tell a story through whatever songs we were picking. We weren't randomly just choosing songs. We were trying to kind of create a theme to these playlists. At the time when I was younger, 80s metal was very popular, 80s hard rock.
Yes.
So we'd be playing a lot of Poison and Warrant and Nelson and whatever, Skid Row, whatever was on the radio at the time, and kind of building these playlists together. But then sometimes we'd be in a classic rock mood and we'd be putting in Billy Joel and Elton John and Fleetwood Mac and creating those type of playlists. And then 80s, we also had hip hop. So Run DMC, LL Cool J, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Beastie Boys, putting them all together and then just listening to it afterwards.
Yes.
So my weekly mixtape is a one-on-one program where I bring a guest on and we start the show by the guest chooses the first song of the mixtape. And we discuss the song similar to what we do on Playlist Wars. But then my job would be to follow that song up with something that I feel not necessarily is my favorite song based on that topic, but what fits into what the guest chose.
Okay.
So depending on what song the guest chose, we did opening guitar riffs. And
yes, you did.
Jason Whistle started off with, I'm going to spoil one song here,
okay,
just for the sake of understanding. He chose Bush's Machine Head to kick off side A. So I had to find a song that fit in with Bush's Machine Head. And if you go from Bush's Machine Head to the Rolling Stones' I Can't Get No Satisfaction, it's a little bit of a disconnect. Yes, they're both great opening riffs, but musically, it's kind of a weird story.
Now, if we were in Playlist Wars and we did our three act on this one, I'll tell you which one I would have opened with. And you're gonna laugh at me. Van Halen's Ain't Talk About Love.
Nice.
See, that was one of my favorite opening guitar riffs when that happens.
It's a great song. And I'll spoil something else here because I'm just feeling a very spoilery mood. We do talk about Van Halen in the episode because how can you not with Eddie?
No,
really?
without a doubt.
But the point of the show is to collaborate and kind of see where each person is going with their musical choices. So the guests and I each bring a bank of 30, 40, 50 songs. And instead of coming together with this playlist that we think the other two people on the show need to best, we're choosing songs kind of on the fly and discussing them to kind of create a narrative based on our discussion. And it goes in directions you would not expect. And a lot of it are not necessarily our favorite songs, but what works well for the mix. And then at the end of the show, we post the playlist on my website, which is myweeklymixtape.com, so people can listen to this playlist and kind of hear the conversation at that musical level and kind of hear where the songs work, where they don't work together. So it's definitely more collaborative than Playlist Wars was. It removes that healthy competition, if you will. It's a little more, wow, we're a team here trying to build this. What works here? That's cool. It becomes a conundrum of, man, I really love this song, but I can't find any place to fit this song. I can't shoehorn it in because it's going to look desperate. However, these songs, which might not normally be my wheelhouse, are where this mixtape is headed. So I have to kind of feed into that direction, but they're still songs that I like because they're in my bank of tunes. So we're going to be covering a lot of different topics, a lot of different bands. My goal is to bring on some of the amazing Playlist Wars family who's been on that we've discussed and had great conversations with. Some of our former guests, some guests from back in the Tune Styles days are going to pop back on and just kind of do one-on-one conversations like I did in 3rd and 4th grade with my buddies building. I mean, you and I did it in high school, but we were doing it on a
CDs
CD level.
CD level. We're on that CD time.
Yeah. Before you and I would go on a road trip, we would get on AIM and be like, okay, here are the songs I'm putting on this CD. What do you want to hear? And you would tell me, and then I would rip the CDs
Yes.
and burn it, and then we'd hop in the car and we'd have the CD ready to go.
And there was that one time, of course, we decided to
Stand-up
do
comedy.
yeah, David Chappelle. I'll never forget this. We were doing good timing driving up to New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go visit some friends. We'll just leave it at that. Um, we decided, and I said, Brian, let's do something different with music and just do comedy. He puts on David Chappelle. Of course, we're all laughing our asses off on this one. Yes, I said the word. Yes, I can because it's my show now.
Yeah, we could curse on his show.
Yes, respectfully in some points. Some points might have to be bleeped out one day. But it was David Chappelle, and we were in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Welcome to Worcester. $1.25, Bob.
Car breaks down right at the toll booth. We're like, oh, shoot. Well,
yeah, there was definitely. Let me tell you, even though I'm not cursing here, there were a lot of words used that are probably not radio and broadcast friendly at that moment.
Let me put it this way: the FAA would put me past Howard Stern on this one. Let's just say that one. But the car breaks down and we get a tow. Now, the thing is, I think that was the second time I ever got towed in a car. And I think for Brian, might have been his first or second. We get in the tow truck with this guy. And
he was
goes,
a big dude.
He was
and
a
you
big
and I were not, we were not tiny at the time either.
Neither.
I don't know how that truck moved.
With my car and us three in there. But the conversation was just get us near to a hotel. Yes. Swooshed in the freaking front of the cab. I think Brian was on my lap and I'm like, can you get your
yeah. I'm sitting there at the time. I was over 315 as well. So I'm like up against the door going like, if this door opens, I am getting thrust out of the car because of the pressure from the guy driving and you in the center. I don't know how you ended up riding bitch in that car, but it
just worked. But your tailbone was on my thigh though, because it was uncomfortable. But I do remember the guy goes, "Hey, I'm gonna go get some bear," and we're like, "What the hell did he just say?" I go, "What'd you say, sir?" And I was being polite. I wasn't making fun of the guy. He goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go get bear." I go, "Dude, Brian, he's gonna go get a bear." And we both look like each other. When he stops at the liquor store, oh, beer.
Yes.
Oy.
Yes. I will say this. Thankfully, the guy had the foresight after grabbing his case of beer to know that the hotel he dropped us off at that we had to, scrounge a night was directly across the street from the garage that opened early for us to get your car fixed.
Thank God. It cost me $500 and something later, but we went back to New Jersey and your parents cooked us a feast and we went to Hoboken that night.
Yes.
You drove though.
Yes.
Because I needed a night of drinking. But that was great because you know what? I love the fact of your new format, Brian. You know what I mean? It's not playlist wars, but it's something like you said, connects with you and that person. Like if we did something, it would be, I don't even know what we would do, but I can't wait to jump on.
We're definitely going to do something. It's just a matter of when. We'll have to record it on a Sunday at 9:37, like right now, because at least I know we can make this work, but there's no other people that are making this work.
But you know what's good? Yeah. Now that football's kind of over for us, hockey's again for me, I'm a big hockey guy. Go Rangers. Now that football's over, we do have our Sundays and Saturdays back, but not really. But don't worry, folks, I'll get on there. What we're gonna do? That's on the host. He'll tell me what we're doing. But Brian, sounds like you guys you got the great idea. I love this idea actually because you are doing a mixtape. It's a side A and a side B. It's what we did with what do we call that? The
playlist and album. It's similar in nature to that, but we're not just picking from one album.
Yeah.
What we're doing is only doing topics unless I'll do band episodes with people depending on the situation. So I don't want to spoil anything yet, but I do have some artists that are coming on to do my weekly mixtape based on their band.
Nice.
So similar to the playlist and album vibe, but a little bit more kind of opening up and kind of diving into the band's catalog. So it becomes a collaboration between the artist and a fan.
Nice.
and telling that story through the band's music, through
Mhm.
both sides of the songwriter and just someone who enjoys listening, I think will be a very compelling musical story to tell. And at least that's the goal and what I'm aiming to achieve with the show.
And that's really cool. And that's again, it's such a great idea. I actually love the logo, by the way. I really do. That's almost as better as my logo.
No, DT did an amazing job with yours. Mine is just text, but the logo is a cassette. And a few people actually messaged me saying, "Where'd you dig that up?" And
Yeah.
believe it or not, that is one of my actual mix cassettes. I have a box, a friggin' tote
Yes,
of
I
old
know.
band recordings and just me jamming on acoustic guitars, and then mixtapes I made off the radio. And I found one without a brand name on it, and I
Thank
pulled it
God.
out and shot the photo for the cover and then branded it with the logo. But that is actually one of my, I wanted it to be personal. I want
Yeah.
the show to be kind of a autobiographical in music
Mm.
sense podcast, where it's a little more kind of about where I lie with music,
Mhm.
including, you know, how it interacts with fellow friends, podcasters, and musicians, kind of telling a little bit more of a personal story versus kind of the competitive aspect of Playlist
Yes.
Wars. And I feel like these shows, I wanted to do something, if I was going to podcast outside of Playlist Wars, I wanted it to be something that complemented what we do on Playlist Wars, but didn't compete against it. I
Mhm.
want it to be something where it was a completely different vibe
Right.
and a completely different mentality. But for me, music podcasting is my thing. It's the only space that I'm comfortable podcasting in, as you can see with the sports
Yeah.
schlop that I did earlier.
But the sports slop is fine. Because you're a fan and you were a player, so we both get it. And that's something, again, Brian, you were the perfect person when it comes to music. You know your roots. It took me 3 or 4 episodes with Playlist Wars to find my niche finally. And it took the Beastie Boys, actually. Matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, when we were talking, and then we did Beastie Boys No Sleep to Brooklyn. I'm like, hey, who remembers that Steven Seagal movie? And you and Doug were like, holy Christ. You know what I mean? It's like I found my niche with the movies, the video games, the TV shows. You know what I mean? So that made our show, our brand grow more. And now as we're doing, my weekly mixtape and the Sleevie G Show, again, I got to give props to DT at Space Castle, man. He did that logo.
It's
Awesome
awesome.
justice. I just loved it just because the shirt, the muscles are hanging out.
Yeah. And I want to thank him as well, because I went back and forth with him, because the cassette that I had was shot on a white background, but I needed some help getting kind of some edges cleaned up for the logo.
Phenomenal.
And he came in for me. DT is an absolute beast of a graphic designer. I love the stuff he does at Space Castle,
He's awesome.
and the graphic work that he does, even if he like tags you in a ping and it's one of those pings that he created, or
Yes.
I'm sorry, animated GIFs that he created.
Yes.
They're unbelievable. He's such a great guy, great show. Love being connected with him. So definitely a shout out to him there.
It's funny. I actually reached out to him. I go, hey, DT, remember a while ago you said you owed me a favor? And I said, I'm finally going to cash into that. And he's like, no, Gomez, this is an honor. I've been waiting for that phone call. And he goes, and for me, he goes, listen, we're family, we're brothers. That meant more to me than anything to hear that, because he needed me in a pinch and I didn't know what to do. I said, you know what? I'll get it. I'll play. I've never played the video game, but I'll do it. You know what I mean? I'm in it. So I started learning that at work that Saturday morning. It was a Saturday afternoon show. That Saturday morning, I started going through the game, what the stuff was. And he goes, hey, our guy Alex is coming back on. We're good. I'm like, oh, man, all right. I go, if you need me, call me. I'll be there for you guys. Brian, now that went 2 different ways in our stuff, again, I'll be there with your show if you ever needed me too. You know what I mean?
Of course. No, that's not even if I need you. It's
Well,
just when we schedule it.
When we schedule it.
Honestly, we were talking about, let's just break the fourth wall here.
Yeah.
We were talking about trying to do an episode right after this, but we do want to put something out on the Playlist Wars feed to explain to the people that don't follow us on social media what's going on and kind of fill them in. And that kind of takes precedent. So in the next month or so, we'll
figure
find
it out.
another Sunday morning to get together and do a My Weekly Mixtape episode with you.
And just to give everyone a heads up what I'm doing here now that we're talking about it a little bit, my show is a little bit different. Am I going to talk about music? Yes, I am. I actually have a special guest coming soon, and we're going to talk about actually a video game soundtrack. That's all I'm going to say at that. Brian knows it because I told him before we recorded.
Should I spoil it?
No, don't spoil it yet. But, again, I'm going to do more about local businesses, movies. It doesn't matter if it's coming out, if it's past movies, new movies, old movies. It's about that. The celebration of movies. I actually have a list. It's kind of funny, and you're going to laugh at what I'm using here.
Oh, you're back to the Notebook.
I'm back to the Notebook, but I started doing, anniversary movies. What's coming up. So there's actually a couple 10 years. I didn't know Frozen was 10 years. I felt like Frozen was last year.
Really?
Yeah, it's 10 years ago.
Wow.
And my kids still love it to this day.
Of course. Yeah.
So, I might blog about that, guys. Yeah, I'm blogging too. So, but it's just about everything. The video games, the celebration of everything, music. Hey, 25th anniversary for this group. I will call, say, hey, Brian, I need a lifeline. But that's what's the beauty about this. Like, it's just me and you, or me and special guest. It's just talking. There's no real format. It's about just two friends talking about what we want to talk about. I leave it up to the guests. You want to talk about this? Great, let's do that. I have a few guests coming up, and we have one local business that we're going to be talking about in about a week.
Great.
And it's one of my favorite restaurants, and she's awesome. She's very young. She's hip. She does a lot of great work. So I'm excited to have her. She's excited too. So I'm hoping with that for her gets a little more business and a little more exposure for me with other restaurants and try their meals, hopefully.
There you go.
I'll pay my way.
Be like
though.
that guy in Ratatouille that goes in and sits down and kind of has his nose up in the air, and you don't talk. You just, and they bring the food in front of you.
Yes. But I will pay my way. I'm not asking for free food, by the way, people. But that's what's great.
Oh, dude, ask for free food. What are you kidding? You're going to be like walking and be like, yo, sleeves are off, man. Feed me. Let's do this.
Oh, well, I can't go into a fancy restaurant. Oh, I might have to wear a tie, like in Major
Just
League.
throw the tie on over the sleeveless shirt. It's perfect.
It'll be like in Major League with Rick Vaughn.
Yes.
He goes, makes me look like a banker. Guy's wearing a leather jacket with sleeves off and a tie. Oh, Charlie Sheen,
look,
we love you, man.
I think that this show is great because with Playlist Wars, you always kind of dipped your toe into all these different areas, and now you get to do them full throttle.
Yeah.
So like we've joked about, it's kind of part of the Playlist Wars extended, even though we're not movies, extended cinematic universe, because it just sounds great to say that. It's a way for people that listen to Playlist Wars and like the niches that you dive into to hear more about those things through your conversations. And then for mine, if they want to hear my music talk more, it's a way to continue that. And then when we come together on Playlist Wars, it becomes more of that Avengers style show.
But that's what made us great. That's still what makes us great. You know what I mean? And our banter. That's why I think a lot of people love to tune into us, because it's like in the movie Private Parts. I want to see what they say next.
Yeah.
Except no one really hated us. They loved us. But in reality, if they didn't like us, they're like, I'm tuning because I want to know what he says next. So for us, it was awesome. I loved it. And I can't wait when we go back. But like you said, unfortunately, the timing is hard for me and him. I'm recording Sleevie G at 9 a.m. Okay.
I am literally, if you've noticed during the show, I am chugging green tea trying to wake up because I'm working on about 5 hours sleep. And I'm just, see, you got caffeine going too. I'm just trying to get, I'm literally going to, as soon as we hit stop on this recording, I'm going to retire to the couch and hopefully watch San Francisco dismantle the Cowboys. It'll obviously, whenever this airs, what I'm saying right now will be dated, but regardless, I'm hoping that San Francisco dismantles both the Cowboys and the Eagles and restores balance to the NFC East.
You mean to the force?
To the force, yeah, to the NFC East as well. But look, at the end of the day, I really wanted to make it clear to everybody that there's no, I actually was shocked when people would ask me, like, did you and Gomez have a falling out? And I'm like, no, why? We just can't get our schedules together, and it's driving me insane.
Yeah.
And the amount of stress, because I have a lot of outside of podcasting things going on.
Mhm.
I do have an hour or two each day that's downtime, and I don't just sit around. I'm not the kind of person that can just
No.
sit on the couch and watch Jeopardy. I have a chance to pop on and record music conversations with people. I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, that time is when you're extremely busy with your kids.
Kids, yeah. I get home at 5. I'm cooking dinner. I'm eating. If people knew the countless hours that you and I talk before we even do a show, even after the show, editing the show, which you did not most of it. You did all of the editing. You know what I mean? I will say that this time I'm doing my own. So let's do a little novena here and say, look, I might not even do editing on this one because it's just the raw first
Oh, there you
episode.
go.
But you know what? That's what it's about, though. It's what I am. I'm raw. You know what I mean? We had to keep it at a certain level with Playlist Wars, and I loved it because we had family members, we had our workplaces, we had a lot of things going on that show, which respectfully, we had to be respectful.
Right.
Here, I'm going to be a little bit edgy. You can't get another side of Gomez. They're like, this ain't the same Gomez. You know, yes, I cursed already before, and and I will. Am I going to drop an F-bomb here? Probably. Am I going to beep it? Maybe. Because again, it's a respect factor to me, the guest, the show, and representing other shows.
No, you know why you're going to beep it? Because it's going to be something where, as you're recording, you say it as your son is walking by, and that becomes his new greeting to all his teachers at preschool.
Oh, listen, he's already he's got down 3 curse words already.
Well, and I think that's another thing people don't understand. Yes, we do curse. When we're offline, we curse all the time, but we're cognizant of where our children are when we're having those conversations. And right now, I'm in a room, the door is shut, but I know these walls are not soundproof. So anything I'm saying in here, my kids could hear through in the house, and I don't want them taking that away from this conversation. So that's kind of why I don't curse on these things.
And now the only reason I got you don't hear anything because they went to the in-laws.
No.
But Laura and I
Did you do this and go, take them away? No.
That would have been funny, but
and you would be dead because she would have killed you.
You would have killed me. No, we have to do some running around today. I was up at 5:30 this morning. I got about 3 hours of sleep.
Oh.
I had 2 loads of our laundry to do, which I still need to finish after I'm done with this. Laundry. Or no, wife is.
There you go. You're like,
said, yeah, run.
I'm on it.
I'm on it. So, Brian, again, dude, I can't thank you enough for being the first pilot raw episode of the Sleevie G Show. It means
dude, I'm sorry that it's such a letdown. You've been hyping this up, and I keep texting you all week going like, dude, people are gonna turn it on and go, oh, this guy again, off. Like,
no, you know what?
Unsubscribe.
Everyone's now seeing it. Like, you could see our banter, guys. We haven't changed. Nothing's changed.
No.
Just because we're not doing PW right now, aka Playlist Wars. Playlisters, sleevers, mixers, everybody. Mixtapers. We're still here combined together. He throws some ideas at me. I throw some ideas at him. When I was starting this, he goes, dude, do you? And that's what I did, just like he's doing.
We're here helping each other out. There's no problems. Like, dude, we've been friends for 30 years. I told you in the beginning, if we start this thing, it's friendship first before anything we do that gets posted. Like,
I know everyone wants to start a little thing, but you know what? It's not like that. We're happy. We're at 9 a.m. recording my show. We're both dead tired. He's got the family. He's going to spend now the afternoon watching Dallas lose. And hopefully. But at the end of the day, that's what it is for us. We always said family was first.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know during Playlist Wars, we didn't mention it, but I'm still not going to mention it. Things are getting a little bit better, but it's a day-by-day factor. Again, the scheduling was hard for me because I haven't even had time to come down to my own basement. I've been actually blogging at work because that's okay. The luck, thank God we're in the winter mode because there was a couple of days with rain. I think I blogged 3 blogs in one day, and it's feelings. You know what I mean? And the one thing I'm not, and I'm going to strictly say it now before we sign off and tell wherever they can find you too, Ryan. There will not be politic talk. There's a
No.
reasoning why. We made a pact when we did Playlist Wars, no politics. Here's the thing. I'm about fun, love, laughing, cursing, drinking a beer on the show, drink caffeine like what we're doing this morning. It's about fun. Let's talk about, hey, I want to talk about Barstool. You know, Dave Petronio. He thinks he's the pizza connoisseur. Let's really talk about that because there's a couple of scores he gave in New Jersey I'm not thrilled about, which is I think were better pizzas than he probably has eaten. So, am I going to do an episode? I would love to get him on my show, but that ain't happening because I'm a nobody.
Make it happen.
We'll see.
Throw down the gauntlet on Twitter.
And gauntlet, it might be on Instagram, baby.
You're like, sleeves are off, man. Let's do this.
Let's. You rated this one place this score. You rated this one. I find it insulting. But I do it
How
with
dare you?
That might be a new thing now for the Sleevie G Show. As you can see, we banter, but I love it. But dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It means a lot to me. But before we do this, where could everyone find you now?
Of course. Thank you very much. I am available at myweeklymixtape.com. If you listen to podcasts wherever you listen, you just search My Weekly Mixtape and the show will pop up. I am on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at My Weekly Mixtape. Look, my face might not be on TikTok, but I'm doing a lot of this topic discussion on there. So one of the episodes we're going to be recording very, very soon is the songs of 1993. And I throw it out to people and they're putting in a lot of songs where I went, ooh, I got to look that one up and give a re-listen. And I like that interaction, just like we did on Playlist Wars, where the discussions kind of come through the interaction on social media. So again, it's My Weekly Mixtape at any of those platforms. I hope to connect with people. I hope that you'll listen to the show. I hope that you'll listen to the Sleevie G Show. And I hope that you'll continue listening to Playlist Wars when we return in a monthly format is the goal. We're hoping to record some stuff this winter when there is no sports, there is no schoolwork, and our evenings can be a little bit more loose for us to say, okay, 8:30, let's hop on and record something, as opposed to it's 8:30 and they just walked in the door from practice and we're about to start homework. Like there's as soon as that first week of school hit me, I called you the next morning and said, dude, I got to slam the brakes on this and I'm sorry, but we'll make it work in the summertime because I'm just not seeing any universe where I can attempt it. But I got to think about my sanity at the end of the day, and recording at 10, 11 o'clock at night, as easy. Much as we could do it, our family and our mental health and everything else has to come first. And we're just recording these things when we conveniently can right now. And then hopefully this summer we record a bank of episodes that we start throwing out there because look, Playlist Wars is not a timely show. It's very evergreen. So that can continue on a monthly basis. And if we could build a bank enough, we can record well enough in advance and do 9 a.m. recordings if we have to. So that's the goal. And we're hoping we could stick to it. But in the meantime, SleevieGpodcasts.com, which you had said that there's an S at the end, but so what? It's only going to seem weird while this is the only episode. Once you have 2 episodes up, it is podcasts.
Yes, it is.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking when I was typing.
Whatever. For My Weekly Mixtape, podcast is not in the name. It's just myweeklymixtape.com. You could go listen to the episodes and listen to the mixtapes that we're creating. We embed them in playlist form because we're not naive, or I'm not naive of the fact that if I just threw a cassette deck up there, nobody would obviously what the hell are they going to do with that? So yes, it's in playlist form. We do stick with the modern times, and but we do wax nostalgic about all the kind of the collaboration of making mixtapes and kind of putting the thought into crafting our own musical collaborations based on discussion and based on where we're feeling that day. So it's not about our favorite songs. It's about what works in that moment. And we're kind of capturing snapshots in time between these
Yes.
conversations. So totally different beast than Playlist Wars. So I hope the playlisters out there make the move over and check out both shows. And then when we come back this summer, they'll have a lot to choose from in the Playlist Wars extended universe. So.
Exactly. Brian, again, thank you so much, man. It means a lot for you being on episode 1. It's the perfect icebreaker because we talked about us, what we're both doing, and our little baby boy playlist wars, or the Avengers playlist wars, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's still an exciting time for both of us. And guys, please check them out on myweeklymixtape.com. Check them out on all the open good pods, Apple, Spotify. I think you're almost on everything. So just
pretty much every single one. Pandora, Amazon. As of this recording, Google said that the show should be up in the next couple of days. I did get an email about that. I'm sorry. It's just taken a little bit longer, but it will be there. And pretty much anywhere that you could find it, just search My Weekly Mixtape and it should pop up. But if not, myweeklymixtape.com.
And hopefully I will be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, and everything soon. Being that this is the first one, I'm just going to be on YouTube, Sleevie G, the Sleevie G Show. I already have my logo on there. I have my logo all over the place, but I'm also going to put it on my website on the Sleevie G Show, Sleevie G Podcasts.com. You'll find me there, and you'll find Brian being my first ever guest. Man, as I'm just a regular host, man.
So sorry for the letdown again.
Oh, no, there's no letdown. I cannot wait for episode 2 and 3. I can't wait to get on with you, Brian. It's just been an honor and a pleasure having you here tonight. Well, not tonight. Sorry,
this morning.
You know what? This is where my brain is out of it because we always taped at night.
Yes, and let me tell you, for the record, I have not yawned once.
No, you did not.
Put that out there. Not one. I'm feeling it coming on though. I'm tired.
Yeah, no, but I can't thank you enough, man. It's an honor and a pleasure having you as the first episode, the pilot. It's here.
The pilot light is on, and this thing is about to explode in a flame.
And as DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince said, boom, shake the room.
There you go, 1993.
Exactly. All right, guys, I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Brian. myweeklymixtape.com. Check them out everywhere. Check me out at sleeviegpodcasts.com. I will have this up soon. Good night or good day, everybody. Love, peace, and have fun. Louis, stop.